Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today we have a totally non-controversial topic, and that is AI art. Uh, so I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and I've ran through a script. I have an outline, and I'm going to try to stick to this. So you might see me looking down a lot because I want to make sure I cover all of these points. So I think my take on AI art is somewhat nuanced, and it might rub some people the wrong way because I am not simply 100% against the use of AI in the creative process. However, I am 100% for the artists and creators getting paid and thriving with their craft. I also reserve the right, of course, to change my opinion as I learn more, as more information becomes available. That is something that we as informed human beings should always be looking forward to, is learning new things and changing our opinion. Also, briefly, I know that this isn't really artificial intelligence. I know that AI art, ChatGPT, I know that's not actually artificial intelligence. But that's the phrase I'm going to use because that is the phrase that has been adopted when normal people like me talk about something that is maybe beyond our comprehension. But I wanted to address this topic because more and more I see more and more questions and comments on the videos that I make and on other videos and on Facebook comments and just asking about AI art. People are concerned. Was AI used in this? What kind of AI? Did they use AI for the art assets? Was AI used for the writing? Or I see accusations, don't support this because AI was used. And so I think it's something that I need to address. And so I don't have the time nor really the desire to research every game that I cover to make sure that no AI at all was used at any part in the writing or artistic process. I barely have the time in the 30 hours a week that I spend on the Dungeon Dive. I barely have the time to learn the games, to read the games, to play the games, and to make the videos. And that is the focus of the channel. The focus is on the game and the game feel. And if I did have the time to research if AI was used at all in the process, what would I even look for? Things like Photoshop and other pieces of photo manipulating software, those use some AI in some of their filters and some of the processes that they use to manipulate those photos. Should I be concerned about spell checkers? Shouldn't I want humans, to have the ability to spell? What about grammar checkers? What about programs like Grammarly that people use? Or what about suggested sentences from Clippy? I don't know, is Clippy around anymore? He's the original AI assistant, right? He might tell you, hey, you should write this don't use the passive voice, use an active voice. Well, yeah, but how far in the research process should I go? Doing that for every game that I cover could add hours to the pre-production portion of every single game that I cover. I would also need full access to every creator, and I would have to rely on that creator to be honest with me. And that's kind of something that is out of my hands and out of my role at the Dungeon Dive. I will also not be participating in AI witch hunts. I've already seen these happen on some toxic Facebook groups where an artist is accused without any proof at all. An artist is accused of being an AI artist, of using AI. And then that artist has to defend themselves by showing their works in progress, by showing their sketchbooks. And both of the times that I saw this happen, it just so happened to happen to a person of color or a woman. And so in my mind, I think these kinds of witch hunts are being used by the ethics and game journalism people as another way to attack women and people of color in the industry. And I don't want any part of that. Policing the use of AI is not the role nor the point of the Dungeon Dive. And I know for a fact that at some point I will inadvertently cover and maybe even love, maybe even praise something that has used AI in the creative process. That is absolutely something that is going to happen. Not because I want it to, but because the technology will improve to such a state that it will become nearly impossible to tell unless the creator specifically states it. And that I think is kind of the bare bones solution. The least we can do, the least we can ask for is transparency from creators. And I would encourage all creators to be transparent. I want to mention one thing here, and that is the Adventure Creation Kit, the Lovecraft Horror Adventure Creation Kit. This is something that I talked about on my guide to solo RPGs. I think this is a very useful tool for coming up with plots for your solo games of Lovecraftian horror. And I got this for a couple bucks on DriveThru RPG. In the first page, on the first page, the creator states, "This booklet and its content were created by me, but I have used ChatGPT 4 to help with grammar, spelling, and some expansions and rewrites. Illustrations have been created in Neural.Love AI with DALL-E 3. The illustrations have been edited in Adobe Photoshop 25, and the booklet has been laid out in Adobe InDesign. Neural.Love has also been used to enhance the images for better resolution." That kind of transparency is what I would want. However, I would also want that to be on the store page. I'm not sure if it is, but on the store page, if you're a creator and if you've used AI to this extent, just let people know. Let us know so that we can be informed consumers and we can make the kinds of decisions that we want to make. However, I'm not going to deny myself the use of this tool, of something that I find useful to have fun in the games that I play, just because AI was used. I think that would kind of be like cutting off my nose to spite my face. I also want to talk about AI as a tool for disabled people. Of losing your ability, losing your mechanical ability to do something doesn't destroy the desire. And, I'm a recording artist. I get my creative itches scratched by making music, by making ambient music with synthesizers, twiddling knobs and playing keys. And, I have this desire to create audio art. If I somehow lost the ability to use my hands or my arms and I was no longer able to do the mechanical things that I needed to do to create the audio art, I would look for other ways to do that. Losing my ability to do it wouldn't kill my desire. And that would be very frustrating for me. That would be very frustrating. So I might turn to things like generative music or maybe some AI assisted tools to help me create my audio creations. One of my favorite board game artists of all time actually lost his ability to illustrate because of a medical condition. And when that happened, he didn't lose that desire to create. As a matter of fact, I think that desire probably got stronger because he couldn't realize that desire anymore. And so he did start dabbling with some AI creative tools to help him realize those those illustrative visions that he had to get those out into the world. And it helped him kind of as a therapeutic and creative process to help him heal. So I think that is an important way that AI might be used, is to help people with disabilities, to help them create the things that are in their head. Art assets are very expensive. I've been told by game designers that I've talked to that they are the single most expensive part of the game design process, not the production process. Shipping is probably way more expensive, which is kind of when you think about that, right? Shouldn't the artist be getting more than the people who are shipping? But yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But art assets are very expensive. And so we have these indie artists who can't afford art for their games and they want to get something out there. There are a couple solutions beyond AI. They could use AI to help generate their art. I know I have covered some things. I did look at some Hero Quest cards that did use AI art. I didn't know that it was AI before he sent it to me, but I decided to cover it anyways because the option there would be either no art or AI art. Maybe no art would have been fine. I think the cards still would have been useful, but would people have bought them? I don't know. Another solution is to use art asset packs. Friends of mine like Perplexing Ruins and Jason Glover, they sell art asset packs that people can buy to use in their own things. You can subscribe to artists who have Patreons where all they do is provide art for other people to use. And most of those are actually pretty affordable. However, or you can also go to DriveThruRPG and buy art asset packs that people are selling there. However, one of the issues with those is that you do start to see the same images used over and over again in other games. And I know I've seen Jason Glover's art used in What Lies Beneath, the game book that we use, that used his art asset pack. 6x6 Tales also used his art asset pack. I've also seen the same art asset images used in games like For Against Darkness, League of Dungeoneers, and Dungeon Universalis. I'm not saying anything negative against those, but that's just kind of what happens. Me as a customer of these games, as a player of these games, I do start to notice when art asset packs are used over and over again. You know, the creators of Morkborg and all of the third-party supplements for Morkborg, they often use art by dead people. So old art that's in the public domain, and you can buy packs of that. You can download things on archive.org. You know, there are only so many skeletons drawn by dead people that are out there. So if you have a whole bunch of Morkborg stuff, you've already seen a lot of the same images used over and over again. Of course, those are manipulated by software, pieces of software like Photoshop. But again, some Photoshop uses AI. So where do we draw the line? It's a very complex, it's a very, very messy issue. I think another good use of AI is in the prototyping stage. So if you're a designer and you have a vision of what you want this monster to look like, but you lack the mechanical ability to draw that, you might lack the ability to properly describe the thing you're seeing to an artist that you want to pay. And so you could maybe use AI to kind of get halfway there and say, hey, I'm thinking of something like this. I'm going to pay you to make something that is inspired by this, but I want your own take on it. So I think that is another possibly good use of AI. Of course, I would prefer it if all parties associated in the creative process, in all of the creative steps, if they get paid. And I want the things that I enjoy to be financially successful, if only for selfish reasons. Because if things that I like are successful, then more things that I like will be created. However, I also want artists to thrive. I want people to have the ability to make a living drawing or writing or creating games. That's one of the great things. That's one of the great things about living, about being human. One thing that I constantly think about in terms of AI art and the use of derivative forms of art is plunderphonics and sample-based music, experimental music that uses found sounds, and hip hop that uses samples. There's also collage art. There's generative software that generates music. Brian Eno has experimented with generative music, where you just kind of let a machine go and it does its thing. That's kind of AI in a way, using uncleared samples. Artists who do plunderphonics, they're looking for old videotapes or albums and weird sounds on YouTube or on old cassette tapes or old weird instructional vinyl, and they're creating these audio collages of stuff. An artist like The Caretaker uses old ballroom jazz and manipulates it into weird pieces that sound like something out of The Haunting. It sounds like, or The Shining. It sounds like listening to weird, spacey jazz from really, really far away. And plunderphonics is a legitimate form of art, but it's also a art that is derivative, that is built upon things that other people have created. And so there are legitimate forms of art that are derivative. Is AI art another form of derivative art? I don't know. Maybe it's too easy, and maybe that's why it can't be considered a true form of derivative art. When it comes to samples and people who experiment with plunderphonics, you know, they will often list all of the sources. They will list their samples. They will list the albums that they got stuff from. They will list the YouTube channels or the cassettes or the VHS tapes or the live recordings that they've done. They will create a kind of appendix in of all of their influences, of all of the things that went into creating this collage. I wish that there was a way to do that with AI art. I've been told it's not really possible, But if there was a way to collect all of the metadata of the things that trained those machines, and then you could give credit to all of the artists and have links to their art and to their pages and to their DeviantArt or whatever, I think that could also be a solution, but that may not be possible. I don't know. That is completely beyond my realm of understanding that side of the technology. I will always prefer and praise things that were made by human hands and human beings, and that's kind of stupid that I even have to say that, but hey, here we are. This is the future that we live in. I will not, however, say that AI art is soulless. And that does kind of go back to my music analogy because people did say the same thing about synthesizer music, about electronic music, and about music made with electronic instruments, music made by machines as being soulless. And I don't think that is the case at all. There has been very moving music made by people who use found sounds and plunderphonics and synthesizers. And I think that there will be moving things also made by people who use AI in their creative process. That will probably happen at some point. But there needs to be a system in place to control it. Artists should have a say if their art is being used to train these machines. I think regulation is important, but it's probably already too late for that, unfortunately. I don't know how you put that cat back in the bag. I want people to be fairly compensated for all of their work in all industries. I don't care if you're an artist, a writer, you work at a grocery store, you work at McDonald's, you work at a gas station, you clean floors, you clean windows. I would love all people to thrive. I support unions and union workers. I don't want a living wage for people. I want a thriving wage. I want people to thrive. And these are humanist ideas. These are the ideas that I think that make countries, industries, and most importantly, people thrive. I want artists to thrive. And again, that could be for selfish reasons because I want the artists who make the things that I like to be successful so that they create more things that I like. I'm a huge proponent for paying for the things that I enjoy. I still buy albums, most of them digitally. I do stream on Apple Music. I do use Apple Music, and that helps me find the albums that I want to buy. I do buy books. I buy all of my video games. I buy all of my movies, board games. Probably 90% of the things I cover are purchased by me. The other 10% are sent to me to cover, but I don't charge the creators to cover those games. I really do like financially supporting the artists that I enjoy. In my 20s and 30s, I did pirate some media. I'm not proud of that, but it was easy to make excuses, right? I didn't have the money. It was easier, and screw the corporations. But as you start making more money and you start realizing that you can afford some of this stuff, and you realize that it is important to financially support the artists that create the things that you like, that just becomes something that I personally find a lot of value in. And there's a little kind of an odd thing I wanted to mention. I know some people who are very vocal against AI. They are 100% anti AI art. And yet, I also know for a fact that they do pirate media, that they do download albums and movies and books on torrents. And I find that to be just a little bit weird. I think one of the other issues, and that is an issue from the consumer side, from the customer side, and this is the issue that I am the most concerned about, and that is the avalanche, the absolute flood of complete mediocrity that we are going to be inundated with. It already happens without the use of AI art. There's just too much stuff, and not enough of it is really good. If you look at a lot of the self published kind of books of tables on Amazon, or a lot of those really low effort things on DriveThru RPG that claim to be compatible with the world's most popular RPG, you'll see a lot of that stuff is really low effort. And that was made by people. So imagine the low effort mediocrity that we are going to be wading through, swimming through when people just start churning out crap using AI. That is going to be an absolute disaster. I am not looking forward to that. I'm sure some of it's already there, but how are we going to navigate that space? And, how are we going to know if something is worth our time and money? And those are two very valuable things. Time is your most valuable thing. How will we know what to spend our time on? And that's where I think that transparency really is the ultimate answer to this question. Is people just be honest with what you are using when you are creating something so that the customer, so that the consumer, so that the end user can make an informed choice about whether or not they want to support that with their time and money. I think that is ultimately what we need to ask of our creators. We need to ask them to be transparent. And what we as consumers and as customers need to do is we need to financially support the artists who make the things that we love. That is a really beneficial relationship. It's a direct relationship that we can have. It's a two-way street, and we can help each other out. We can help the creators out by paying them. They can help us out by giving us these things that make our lives way more enjoyable. So, yeah, I think those are my thoughts on AI art. I tried to stick to the outline, but I think I got confused at some point. But again, as of October 2024, I reserve the right to change my mind about anything at any time as I learn more information. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.